And we're live?
Yes, sir.
Hey, all right. Okay, so first of all, welcome to everybody that's here in person and everybody that is live there. This is Real Estate Investing 201. My name is Jonathan Harmon. I'm with the J. Harmon Home Team of Keller Williams, and I've got two guys with me right now that are doing the work. They are doing some interesting things in real estate investing. They've done some other interesting things as well and got tons of experience. And my goal for you by the end of the night is to have a lot of those initial questions answered. If you have ever thought about getting into real estate investing, if you're currently in real estate investing, hopefully you'll pull away some little tidbits, some little tips and tricks, and maybe even learn about some new lines of incomes, some different streams, especially from this guy right here. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that for now. So meet our two panelists. I'm going to introduce you guys each, and then tell me a little bit about yourself, your background. You know, keep it a minute or two, something like that. What you're doing now, and what you're like, essentially why you're here. Why would I ask you to be here? How about that? So we'll start down here. Nick Howell with his I Buy Houses disgustingly bright pink t-shirt. Nick, tell us about you.
I am a real estate investor. I have been doing that on and off pretty much my entire life. I am third generation on both sides of my dad, and my mom's family builds, my grandfather's builds, uncles, aunts, cousins. I've grown up around real estate my entire life. I also work for High Water Title as a closer and marketer for them. If you see me and you see my bag, I have my notary stamp, so I can notarize stuff. I've done it as early as 6 in the morning and at midnight a few weeks after I got married, which my wife did not like that at all, but I got $200 for doing that one that late. But I flip houses mostly right now. That's what I'm investing in. I do have some other larger things that I am working on that my family, I'm a part of, but the majority of my time is spent trying to find my next flip and then helping the title company out.
Gotcha.
And that's what I do. I flip them.
So all these times that I've closed with High Water, you've never closed one for me. Is it me or is it you?
It's me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. All right, and then I've got Mr. Brian Derryberry that does some different stuff and has done some of these same things. So tell us about you, Brian.
Hey, I'm Brian Derryberry. Lovely wife I've had for 20-something years. She's not watching it, it's okay. Two kids.
Maybe she is.
Huh?
Maybe she is.
23 years. Hope that's right. Anyway, been in real estate, started buying when I was 19. That was a long time ago. I started my business in 2001, and at that point, we had a good bit of rentals, did a few rehabs, but since then my business has totally switched because the economy changes, and so your business needs to morph as it goes. Don't have any rentals, but I do a lot of owner finance, and I do unintentionally do rehabs. I don't go looking for rehabs, but
Sometimes they find you.
Yeah, you can't say no to something like that.
Yeah, gotcha. So, I do a little bit of investing myself, so I'll probably chip in on a few of these, but I've got a couple of Airbnbs, 3 Airbnbs, and now have 3 long-term rentals. Just sold one earlier this year. So the Airbnb business is different. I was really hoping Grant was going to be able to be here tonight. Poor fella, if you're watching, buddy, we miss you. I hope you get well soon, but thank you for not being here tonight. That would be terrible for everybody to leave with a stomach bug. So anyways, we're going to jump right in. If you joined us on Real Estate 101, we kind of got some really basic stuff and kind of explored some different avenues of investing and got some advice. If you remember our friend Talbot, his biggest advice was don't manage it yourself.
Oh, yes.
That was, I think he said that about 25 times. Don't manage it yourself. Don't manage it yourself, talking about rental property. I do manage mine myself. Did you manage when you had rentals?
I managed them for a while, and then I got smart and realized that was sucking up all of my time. And your money is made when you buy property, so go buy more property instead of manage your rentals. So I ended up at the end getting a manager to take care of it because it was killing me.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming around to that way of thinking before too long. I'm
Or
just
you could
really.
be Criswell and have 63 of them that's self-managed.
No way.
I know. If you guys know, there's a gentleman that lives here in this area, David Criswell, and he's a special kind of crazy, managing 63.
He may be watching, actually.
Rental properties. It's very possible. Anyway, love you, man. Mean it, but special kind of crazy. So I want to start with this question. How did you guys get your first one? Because if you're thinking about getting into real estate investing, if you're thinking about whether it's flipping or whatever it is that you're thinking about, the first question, the biggest question is, how do I start? Once you get started, if you're successful on the first one, it's kind of easy to keep rolling, right? But how do you do the first one? Go ahead.
Do you want me to do the building one or the investing one?
Let's start with the investing side of things.
Okay, investing side. There was a lot when I first got married in West Nashville that was, believe it or not, $20,000 in the Nations. And I didn't know it, but you could actually build two on it. I thought it was so small you could only get one house if you're lucky on there, and I got two. I got it under contract for 20. I turned it around and sold it for 25, and made I think it was like $3,500 on it, and that was the first one I did. That house is those houses are worth $500,000.
A lot more
Yes,
than
a lot more
that.
now.
Yeah.
And the next one was just I've been going to these events since I was 26 and 42, networking, calling people. Wholesaled one, 6 build in East Nashville. I think the guy wanted $300,000 for 6 lots, and I found a buyer for it. It took, 4 or 5 months to close, but I got a $12,500 check. I took that and bought some other stuff. Found one, a program that I really liked. I brought a probate with my dad. We made $73,000 in 7 days. All we did was buy it, close it.
So what I'm hearing is you're pretty good at digging up stuff.
That's my expertise is digging.
What is the secret to digging up stuff?
Patience. Like it's long and boring. Like I was showing him, I've got every single foreclosure filing for Davidson County, Rutherford County, and 7 other counties since the year 2000 that I hand counted myself. And so I go through and I look for trends, for zip codes, neighborhoods, and then I go after it.
And when you say you go after it, what does that mean?
I call them, I knock on their door, I send them Facebook messages. I don't harass them like a crazy ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, but
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's close. I've got one right now I was talking about earlier about, like, she's in foreclosure on Thursday. Like, you can't be trying to steamroll into getting more money. Like, if you don't sell it to me, I'll buy it from you on Thursday at the auction, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And so I try to give people a fair price on something, but whenever, I don't know about you, buddy, but whenever I sell something, there are people that are lucky that get the highest comp and set all the trends. That ain't me. I've got friends that whatever they touch is gold. It's not for me. So I always try to set my stuff. I'm looking at something, 2 or 3 lowest comp, like all right, everything's selling at 300,000. Cool. I'm gonna set my number at what I want to buy at 270. I work backwards from there, and I never, under any circumstances, even in the appreciating market, think, oh, this is going to appreciate, so it's going to make me even more money. I never do that. It's the quickest way of
To have to call me.
Yes.
So what you're talking about is speculative buying, right?
Correct.
So right now this house sells for 300. So if I'm going to flip it, then 2 months from now it should sell for 320.
Yeah.
And that's not.
So I sold one in May. It was on the market. It had 75 showings in 7 months. If I had sold it 1 year earlier, it cost me between $50,000 and $100,000. you name it, that house stuff just kept getting wrong with it. The neighbor stole the air conditioner and called me 4 days later to confess that someone else stole it. I'm like, it's just, you name it, it happened. And then, like, every time I had 2 engineers go out there and look at it. It doesn't need foundation repair, but the basement kept flooding. I put all new flooring in there, it floods. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it ruined the entire carpet because I did water resistant versus waterproof. Always put waterproof in the basement, never water resistant. And so that was a $5,000 mistake, and just constantly. And so if I got it done this time, March of last year versus March of this year, it cost me, 50 to 100 grand. It sucks, but it's make-believe money that I didn't get.
Well, if you don't, you don't have it until you have it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, I put one on the market on Friday. We got an offer yesterday. We're under contract today. Like, why did it take 7 months last time? It took 3 days this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And you know, that's a thing with our current market right now, is the defining characteristic is unknown, right? The defining characteristic is fluctuation. That's where we are right now. And when we're in a transitional market like this, like it was in probably 2014, 2015, it was fluctuating the other way, right? I'll never forget the first time somebody called me and said, hey, we have multiple offers. And I'm like, you do what? You have what? And they're like, yeah, we have multiple offers, so we're going to do a highest and best. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means.
I remember when you taught me that.
Yeah, and, well, that's only because I had just learned it.
On one phone call, you told me that, and I was like, so what are we doing?
Yeah.
And you said we're going to list on Thursday, and on Monday we'll make our decision on all the offers. And I was going, no, we take any offer that comes in. And sure enough, like 3 offers on that one, and I thought he was crazy, but
Well, it was crazy.
He is crazy.
That's the thing.
But it worked. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you? Your first deal at 19. How in the world did you pull that off at 19 years old?
So I bought mine through a tax sale, and my first advice would be don't. My next advice would be, if you did, call me, I'll buy it from you, and I'll make the money off of it, because it's the title, and he knows more about this, cleaning title. It's a timely process.
It's a year long, right, on tax?
It's a different way, but he told me about 20 years later.
There's 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 7 years, 17 to 20 years, depending on how awful it is. I'm in one that's 7 to 20 years right now.
Yeah.
All right, so give me like a 2-minute version of that. What's the difference in that?
All right, so it also depends on the judge. Like, the judges don't know the laws. Like, if it's an abandoned piece of property, the tax card or the state law states that you can do redemption that's over after 3 months. An abandoned house is 6 months. But everyone in Tennessee, all the judges give people 12 to 13 to 14 months because they're the judges, and they try to get that turned over with the state. They're not going to overturn what a judge has signed off on. 7 years is when you've got issues. You can only find certain heirs, and then you've got to wait 7 years for the heirs to show up. And then 20 years, if you can find no heirs, you have to pay the taxes for 20 years on the property and do some other stuff to claim it, unclaimed stuff. Those are pretty rare. They are around, but in Tennessee, it's the longest one is 20 years. Then you get to sue somebody. You're not who's sure, but you got to run in the paper. And it takes anywhere from 3 months to a year, sometimes 2 years, depending on how convoluted it is and how good of an attorney you hire. Because most attorneys will say, "Oh yeah, I know how to do that," and I'm like, "Really? Let's talk about it." Because I don't know much, but I know more than most attorneys. Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. But during that time that you're waiting for all of that stuff to clear, you can rent the property, you can do certain things to it, but you want to be hesitant about repairing anything. Is that correct?
You can, the judge will let you, if it needs a roof, you can fix a roof. If a window breaks out, you can fix
Necessary
that.
maintenance.
Yeah,
Stuff
so-
that has to be done to keep it up to standard.
Habitable.
Yeah, so my cousin, one of the walls bowed in one of the ones they bought in Davidson County. They had to fix it. But then they had to turn everything into the court to make sure, okay, this is what we actually did, pictures, everything had to be documented.
If they redeem it, so
Yes.
that they'll get the money back.
Correct.
basically.
But like if you do a full gut rehab before the 1 year is over with and they redeem it, that money is gone.
Right. So you have to have the funds to be able to sit on that property for a period of time.
At least a year and a half, yeah.
So again, my question to you, 19 years old. How did you acquire that first one? And be able to sit on it?
I always saved money, so I don't know. I flipped cars, I flipped everything.
Me too.
So, I mean, I had money, so the next thing I would go to is real estate. Made sense.
From
And
here in county?
Davidson,
Davidson.
yeah. 123 Luna Drive.
I didn't know
Anyway,
that. Harmon is one, yeah, 2 blocks from there.
Yeah, he sure did. And that place
how's
was
about them apples?
that place was a disaster.
Mine was a disaster too. So all that being said, you heard all those big words and stuff going, don't buy at the tax auction. I don't care what cute program they're selling and whatever you see on the internet, that's not really the best use of your money. After that, I started doing subject to, and
Can you explain what that is?
subject to is basically, in short, the loan would stay in your name and the deed, you deed it over to me. Everybody thinks that's all kinds of crazy, and it is, but the deed and the mortgage are two different things. They just refer back to each other. That doesn't mean they are married. It just means that they have the option to be married. So that was a short one. Don't do those right out of the gate either. You'll learn those too. But anyway, I took quite a few of them sub two, and we sold them on lease to own, lease options. We take the down payment and then make a few $100 on the rent. We did quite a few of those. My closure rate was about 33%, so there was about 60% more that we would have to take the house back. Sorry there. And basically we would do a lease option again and fill it and keep going. I ended up with all of these houses in about 2009, where all these people thought, we're leaving tonight. And so we ended up at one point maybe having 12 to 14 vacant houses. And I learned at that point, it's really good to have a little bit of cash set aside. And in 2009, things weren't renting quite as fast. So you need a lot of cash set aside. And then as we rented out, we finally got everything rented. And as the economy changed, we would take the houses back, and the economy had picked up. So in 13 through about 20, we started selling off everything. So all the rentals, because the market was just nuts. And so all the rentals, we just rehabbed, put them on the market, and made our money back.
Do you regret selling any of them? Because of I'll get some of the flip prices out, stuff that I've done, double and triple.
I don't really, for this reason. Here we go. There are plenty of deals out there. There
Yes.
are plenty of houses on the market, plenty. And so you just have to constantly be looking for the next deal. Just because, now there are a few that I look at now and go, hey, I could have made another 200,000 on. I would appreciate 200,000. Please don't get me wrong. But there are also with the money I got, there were also another 4 or 5 houses I bought.
Yeah.
So, you would take your 60, 70, 80 and then bankroll it into another 5, 6, 7 houses. So,
Yeah. Well, and in the moment, that was the right decision to make, most likely.
Yes.
and you're diversifying. The more houses, so it took me a lot of years to figure this out. The more houses you have, the more diversified you are. So the less risk you have of one house taking you down. And I had a friend who told me, I would rehab a house at a time because I'm kind of lazy. And so I would rehab a house at a time. And he said, why are you doing that? Because if that house doesn't sell, you're stuck. He said, if you're flipping 5 at a time and 3 of them sell, you have enough cash flow to go buy 3 more until those other 2 sell. And, you just keep bankrolling it. And so it only took 20 years to figure that out.
And I'll give my story. So I've started out probably like the majority of folks that are starting landlords would start. I ended up renting the first house that we bought. And so we lived in that house for a couple years and was able to, through savings, through income, things like that, was able to take some equity out of that house in a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, and purchase another house to live in, made the down payment on the house that we bought after that, and then just kept one is a lot of folks that get into the landlording business, at least that side of it. That's how they get started.
That's my plan. I've just been flipping to get cash saved up, and then I've got 3 long-term properties I've got that I'm going to eventually build apartments on. I don't have the cash for it, but the land's paid for, so it's just long-term, just waiting for it to happen. But I've got the HELOC, but that's what I'm going to do. Flip, and HELOC down, buy one, and then.
And that's exactly it. So the second property came the same way, took the rent, paid down the HELOC, used that same HELOC to buy the second property, wash, rinse, repeat. So, all right, cool. So re-leveraging funds, let's talk about that. So, the last 3 years, 4 years, if you're holding any properties, you've got a pretty substantial pile of equity if you bought it 4 years ago. What is your philosophy on re-leveraging that equity and putting that equity to work?
I have not owned a rental property since 2004 in my own name. I do have other rental properties that I do own with family businesses. But my family's philosophy, my dad's, uncles, grandfather, great uncle, cousins, is staying 50-60% loan to value. My uncles went from building 120 houses a year to 4 in 2009. They went, it died. And so what kept them afloat and going bankrupt, they own 800 apartment complexes and 150 houses between my mom.
800 apartments
Units,
within
stores.
Not 800 complexes.
No, 800 units,
Doors.
doors, sorry. And then 150 houses. And so, like you said, if one goes empty, doesn't matter. Same thing with the apartment complex. Their rentals, for the most part, have always stayed low to mid 90s, and one apartment complex is usually at 98 or 99%. And that's kept them going through.
When you're saying that percent, that's occupancy rate.
Occupancy, yes. And so that's what I'm looking at doing also for myself. I've got 3 parcels I can build apartments on, saving up to do it because I don't want to have to dilute myself with partners. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, all right.
Because you use HELOCs in a little bit of a different way,
I
right?
do everything wrong.
No, you don't.
I just do it very different. So I may not be the one you want to pattern everything out of. But if I'm looking for long-term holds, so I owner finance stuff. So what I do is I will rehab something and take that cash and use it to go buy owner financing properties. And I take over properties sub 2. So if I have to give somebody $20,000 to walk away at the closing table, and I've just rehabbed a property, and that rehab, made 80. There's 4 properties I can buy that will cash flow. So
Doesn't hurt you.
no, it doesn't hurt. So it's not anything out of my pocket. Now, it does take a minute to get started, no doubt. I mean, you've always got your first property, and that's the hurdle. That's always your hurdle. Actually, your hurdle is probably more between your ears than anything.
Yes.
But once you get past that, your first property is pretty tough.
Yeah.
And then so is like your 24th, 5th, 6th. But anyway.
So, Brian, I know you use a home equity line of credit pretty liberally. How do you do that? And when you make $73,000, Nick, on a property, you just said it, the biggest hurdles between your ears. How do you? Is it discipline? Is it what is it that keeps you from taking $73K and being like, oh, I got $73,000?
Have you met my wife?
That's fair.
Same.
But that $73K was before her, right?
No.
Oh, it wasn't?
So we had a contract on a house, and we were trying to buy our first house, and that was our down payment. Like, by God, this thing is going to work. And so a lady, I don't know why she picked me, but she liked me the best out of the, dozens of letters she
I
got.
don't know why either.
I don't either. And so, we split it, and I took that, and I used 30 out of that 36,000, which was my cut or close to it. Bought the house they lived in behind Stewartsboro Elementary School, and then we sold that one and bought the one. Without that big flip, there's no way we live in the house that we live in right now without it. And so my wife is a penny pitcher. She's more of a saver than I am. I'm a lot more willing to take a risk than she is. So we balance each other out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little frustrated with me. I get a little frustrated with her, but we do well.
And then I guess the next follow-up question, how do you choose what you are going to use the debt on? I mean, if you're taking some equity out, or you're, going into some kind of debt, if it's, whether it's hard money or whatever, how do you pick? How do you go, yeah, this makes sense to go in the whole loan?
It's, to me, if it doesn't always work, and I've not always hit a home run on everything that I've done. I've had some losses, I've had some ties, I've had some really big wins. If my property, if there's not a minimum of at least $30,000 profit at that third, fourth, fifth ARV, after repair value house in the neighborhood, then to me, that it's just, you're asking to go bankrupt, because again, I am not lucky. I am a Cubs fan, and so I got lucky in 2016. I've been a Cubs fan since '89. So yeah, but it just doesn't, like, you have to be conservative. You cannot think this is pie in the sky. It's risk. I was much more riskier when I was single, but I've been married for 11 years. I've got a wife and 2 kids, and I just cannot just, oh, this is going to work out. No, my dad's been a realtor since the 80s. He helps me comp stuff all the time. Like, I'm very, very conservative on stuff. Like, this girl, I've been trying to negotiate with foreclosure on Thursday. She's trying to stiff arm me into paying more for the property. It's like, my offer is this. Like, that's it. Well, it can appraise for more. I don't care. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not desperate. When I get desperate, I made mistakes. So, last week, I drove all the way to Jackson, Tennessee for a foreclosure. I went and looked at the house. The opening bid was $32,000. So I went and looked at the house. Everything around it, Google View, unfortunately, was from 2012, so there was nothing updated. I drove all the way to Jackson. I got there 30 minutes before the auction. Went and looked at the house. Every street around that house was fantastic. That street, oh my gosh. 0 pride of ownership. 0. There was a house falling down on itself 2 doors down. The house was originally 1945 built, with an addition, with another addition, the detached garage. Then they attached the detached garage and put a mother-in-law suite above the detached garage. And I talked to the neighbor, and he said, it's full of junk. Nope. I do not look like I failed. I don't feel like I failed at all. They went for $1 over opening bid. Like, there's no way I'm paying $33,000 for that thing.
Yeah.
0 chance.
So the secret there is say no way more than you say
Oh,
yes.
yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, when I joined REN in 2000, Real Estate Investors in Nashville, 2006, there was Dave Ramsey's old partner, Howell, said, you look at 100, you'll make an offer on 10, you might get 1, 2, or 3 out of them. And it's a lot of kissing the frogs, hoping that he'll turn to a prince or princess, however. Like, it's just, yes, correct.
Gotcha. What about you? How do you choose what to use debt on, Brian?
I'm real conservative with my money. So for me, I go to the old rehab adage of 70% less repairs. And I've just bumped it up to that. For quite a while, I was closer to 60% less repairs. But I don't like to do rehabs. So if it's going to be a rehab, I want to make money on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't lost money. I have made $1,300 on a $253,000 house. I've made $1,800 on a $259,000 house, but I haven't lost money.
That's great.
Yeah, but $1,500 is bad, just in case y'all are running numbers. But I'm real conservative.
Because there's a value to your time.
Oh,
absolutely. Is what you're saying.
Well,
I mean,
it used to be. Some of those, it's a little less.
I hear you.
$6 an hour.
$1,500 is not nothing, but it is when you consider that you spent 3 months
Yeah.
plus trying to get that property.
And the hair I've lost. I mean, that's at
a premium
Stress
right
too
now.
long.
I hear you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that he's talking about, so if a house is worth $100,000 fixed up, the maximum he will start at is $70,000 minus repairs. So it's going to cost $20,000 to repair the house. The maximum allowable offer on the property is $50,000. There's no $100,000 houses in Nashville anymore. It's a whole lot easier been doing $300,000 with that stuff in my head. So it's basically 100,000, 70, 50, or whatever. Does that make sense, everybody?
And so it sounds like, based on that, that you want to make 30K on that house.
Oh, yeah.
But you also have the potential that you're not going to do that when you start opening up walls or
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's, I
bulging
don't do a lot
ceilings
of,
or.
he does a lot more rehab-y work
I do
than I do.
nasty ones. Really
I
nasty
do like, let's put lipstick on the pig kind of thing. And so mine are more like, if I'm putting, I just put 40,000 into a house, and if I'm putting 40,000 in, that's a lot for me. Most of the time it's like 10, 15, 20. It's like 15, 20
I
now
know,
because
that is.
inflation, but it used to be 10, 15.
So if you want some entertainment, follow Nick on Facebook, and he frequently
He's a
has
hoarder fan.
videos of
I don't know
hoarder
how he
houses.
finds all the hoarder houses in Middle Tennessee, but if you ever wanted to see a hoarder, hang out with Nick for a week.
The one he sold me, this is 7 years ago, there was so much poop in the ceiling from the raccoons and the possums that the radiant heat was keeping it up. But I am 6 foot tall, 6'2". Like, it was this far from my head. It sunk in 2 feet from all the poop inside of the house.
That's a true story. And I felt a little bit bad about it, but anyway, not real bad. So bless your heart.
You can keep them down.
So-
Lipstick on a pig, go for this.
That brings me to a question. So as far as funds go, it's always the biggest question. You know, there's lots of ways. Obviously, saving is
Yes.
great. If you have equity, there's home equity lines of credit. Of course, in this particular environment, that's a little scary because of how high those rates are.
What? My rate's not 4 anymore?
Yeah, no, not even close. Try doubling plus.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, then there's also some hard money routes that can be a little bit scary.
You have a huge spread if you're doing hard money, and your lender is typically right now not going to give you more than 70% of value. Some have pulled back a little bit. So if you're borrowing hard money, you're going to have a good spread.
Hard money is where you can get within 24 to 48 hours from a private lender. The rates are anywhere from 10% to 15%, and then they're going to make you put points down, either 1 to 4%. So however
1 to
much.
4, that's cheap. I've heard 3 and 5, and interest rate 12 to 15.
So yeah, it's out there. It's not cheap. The reason why it's called hard money, it's because it will hit you hard if you don't pay it back quick.
Most of those guys are okay with taking the house back too. So most of these guys are investors or people. I mean, I'll loan to you. You don't want my rates. You really don't.
So-
That'd be my question. What is your rate?
If I'm doing it, it's 15%.
When you do owner finance, is it?
Oh, if I'm doing owner finance, it's anywhere from 7.9 to 9.9.
There is a state usury law for.
Yeah, but a lot depends on, like, if it's a mobile home or whatever, it's a high risk. Well, nobody else will buy and sell a mobile home. So I have the ultimate market. Like, which one of y'all are interested in buying a 30-year-old mobile home? Right? Okay, I will. So, but I want them to owner finance it to me, and I'm going to turn around and owner finance it to somebody else. So if they're owner finance it to me, first I don't pay interest. I don't owner finance. I get them to. If the house is worth 50 with the land and everything, I'll pay the 50. But here, doesn't always quite go like this, but roughly, here's the way I'll do it. I'll give you X amount, and we'll do X amount per month. And then it's real easy to find somebody that will pay less than $1,000 a month for owner finance, and they'll put 10, 15,000 down. So I would sell it at 75 or 100, depends on what it is, and make that sit like sandwich in the middle. Then we can get all kinds of creative if you want. Crazy.
I get glossed over with some of that. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe I need to drink more. I don't know.
I got a friend that has a place.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's talk about this. So talking about financing, the next question, at least for me, is especially if we're doing flips or even long-term stuff and even some of the stuff that you do, you're not going to do all the work yourself. So how do you, at this point in our current climate, how do you scrub subs? How do you get subcontractors? How do you manage that? I mean, Talk to me about that. And then kind of dovetail that with, how do you build out a budget for a flip? So you said 30K or 30%, and then less repairs after that. And you said, okay, so if there's a $20,000 projection for the repair, how do you do that?
Well, I've been doing it. Okay.
How did you do that at the beginning?
Right. So at the beginning, I had a friend that was a contractor. He went with me. I also was friends with some handymen, because you also have to think, I had rentals and they always have something wrong with them. Something to build into your profit, by the way. But they always have something wrong with them. So I had a handyman or two that would gladly go with me in hopes that he would get the bid. So a lot of the time when I was getting started, I would call 2 or 3 handymen and have them show up and have them give me their price. And I don't mind them being there together all at the same time, because if they're fighting with each other, twofold. One, I'm getting a better deal, and 2, I don't want to use you two. So y'all fight it out, and I'll use the third guy. So I personally do it, again, I do things a little different. I'm not opposed to, I mainly say this, but this isn't accurate either, but I mainly buy in Alabama and Tennessee. I got something we're closing in South Carolina. I didn't name 2, but I did name 2. See, it's free out. But for those now with Facebook, I can call, and I actually have, I stole this from another investor, but I actually have a price list that goes through how much they install flooring, how much they're
It just,
be quick to fire.
Yes.
There was a house I was rehabbing. I fired 5 handymen, and then I finally paid the one that I use all the time and said, hey, I'll tell you what, you go out there, I'll put you up in a hotel. I don't even care. Just fix the house. And after we did that and it worked, he's done it again in some other locations for me. He's won the drought. So
I got one guy like that.
man, that guy, I'll keep you busy.
So I've got one thing that I've learned from doing this. When you give one guy, one crew everything, that is asking for disaster. Unfortunately, and it's just the truth. I am not the greatest production manager. I am slow at getting stuff done. There are other people that are much better at doing things than I am, but we bought one last year, a condo in Nashville. It should have been 6 weeks. The dude took 4 months, and I was begging my dad to fire the guy. He just wouldn't do it.
So slow to hire. Ooh,
Yes,
slow to hire, quick to
the
fire.
guy can fix anything and everything. He just wouldn't finish. So the issue with a lot of these guys or girls, but mostly it's guys, they'll get somebody, call them up, hey, can you do this for me? I'll give you $1,000 tomorrow if you come. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to show up the next day. Also, if in real estate, I've been around it my entire life. I started sweeping out houses when I was 4 and 5. And my big thing was going to donut country. You get a donut and I think of milk for $1. I thought I was the king of the world when I was 4 and 5, sweeping out houses. But this guy, he would just be gone. Like when I was building a house in 2005, this guy came out, staked the thing out, got ready to start digging it. Oh, I got a phone call. I'll be back. 6 weeks later, his backhoe was still in front of our house. The stake's still in the ground. He never talked to us again. And the next day, it was just gone. Like,
2005, you had limited minutes. He had a heck of a cell phone bill.
correct. And just,
Man,
gone. Like,
Fire people fast.
yeah.
It's cheaper.
If they can't do everything, have them do a few things. Let them get that done before you give them the whole list.
Yeah, give them a little knock list.
Yes.
Take a day here, day here, day
Because if
here.
not, they'll start, oh, look, that's leaking right there. Oh, look, that needs to be squeegeed over there. Oh, look, there's a screw missing over there. And it's just like,
Some things started,
it's
never
horrible.
finished.
Yes. That's how I am. I don't need to hire people like that.
right, I hear you. All right, so last question that I'm going to ask, and then we're going to kind of turn it over for folks in here, or if they're on the feed, to ask some questions. I would ask you to give us some tips and traps, some things that you've learned, some little nuggets. I know you've already done some of that, but just some little things for when you sit down and somebody says, "Hey, Brian, hey, Nick, I'm considering this. I'm considering buying my first rental house. I'm considering, doing my first flip." What are the top, say, 2 or 3 things that you're like, okay, first you need to do this, second you need to do this, third don't ever do this, those kinds of things.
I've got one on rental property. To me, this is how I am with rental property. If you're going to buy it and you're planning on keeping it long term, for the love of God, change the roof, change the hot water heater, and possibly even the air conditioner. Those are your 3 biggest money pits. Like, unless the roof is like less than 5 years old and the hot water heater, you can know or the HVAC, it's going to go out. It's not going to be a surprise. You're going to be ticked off later. It's going to stink. It's going to hurt. But I guarantee you, I paid $5,000 for a roof 3 years ago. Guess how much they are now?
A lot more than
They're
that.
$9,000 to $10,000. That's just what it is. HVAC units, every year, EPA is making them be more and more efficient. They're lasting less and less longer. Hot water heater, holy crap, can they do a ton of damage?
Have you been to Rutherford County?
Yes.
We're the capital of hard water.
So it's just like they last 8, sometimes you get lucky, in maybe 12, 15 years, but they can do tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage in hours.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Brian?
Well, I would say don't buy rentals. No, just kidding. Because I will eventually eat my words, and I'm going to eventually buy rentals just for all kinds of reasons. On this next set, I'm definitely going to have much, much broader numbers. I'm going to have a stupid spread. And one of the things I learned years ago when having rentals is the thing I would jokingly, so I don't always joke very well, but I would jokingly say to a tenant is, as soon as we signed the paperwork and got money in hand, I'm working real hard to evict you from here on out, right? There's no joke there. So always be real quick to put that notice on the door if they're late and let them know that you are not, the worst landlord you can be is a landlord out of fear. So if you're afraid, oh no, I don't get the money this month, I'm not gonna make it, you should not be doing it. You need to save up just a little more cushion so you have that security.
They're not your
Otherwise,
friends.
they're not your friends. Like some of these people are professional. They know how to, if it should take 60 days to get things out, some of these people know how to drag it out for 6 months.
There's
And,
one I know, 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, do you have the money to cover
Rent-free
that?
4 years.
So that's why I would have a little cushion, but I don't have any right now. So
There was a judge that just retired in DeKalb County because I was flipping houses in Smithville. The judge didn't care at all. He was a retiring judge. He was not during COVID, even after the COVID ban was lifted, evictions, he did not care. He was not going to evict anybody. He wouldn't even have anybody come to court. The only reason that you would do it is if they absolutely destroyed the house. Then he might consider letting you evict them. But if for non-payment, he wouldn't even take it.
So know your environment as well.
Yeah.
Yep, and pick and choose. All right. Any other tips or traps?
Be patient with yourself,
Oh, yeah.
because it's going to take you a while to understand it. I still learn stuff every single day on this business, and it will humble you quickly.
It's usually from an attorney calling you going, hey, Brian, you got a minute? Oh, gosh, that costs like $14,000. Yeah.
So I would throw in on the be patient thing is there is no, one of the things that I personally get caught up in is this feeling that I'm behind somehow, right? Like,
I feel it.
All the time.
yeah, I'm the comparison, right? I look at Nick and I'm like, man, I would really love to flip a house. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind right now. I can't do it.
Someday I'd like to be Nick too.
Yeah. I didn't say I want to be Nick.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I said.
Disregard that. My
Yeah.
bad.
Let's clarify here. I will never wear a pink shirt that says I buy house. Well, I probably would. Let's be honest here. I probably would. But
I'm not
I guess my point is run your own race and do what you're comfortable doing, and then maybe push that comfort just a little bit, right?
Like I've got friends that got in later than I did and blown it out of the water. And every now and then I get jealous, but then I look at my personal life versus their personal life. I like seeing my kids. Like my kid cried when I left. I told her I'd be home in time to pray with her and tell her Bible stories, and I do it every night. Great.
Nick's about to get up and leave.
Yeah. But like I asked my friends this, like, how much is too much? Like once you have 10 paid off houses, like rent around here is what, minimum $1,500. If you have 10 paid off houses, yeah, you're $15,000 a month. That's what is that? 180. Yeah, coming in a year. That's ridiculous. You have rent vacancies, some other stuff. Like it's not a hard number to get to. That's where I'm finishing up my flips. I'm going after rental, knock it out, do another one. And then I was talking to my wife about it last week. 10 rentals, 11 rentals, 12 rentals. We're done. Like we can do whatever we want to. We can keep working. We can goof off. My wife is from Europe. She literally, all right, I'm a Waldron. My mom is a Waldron. I thought I had a big family. My wife has 45 first cousins. 45 first cousins. They're all over Europe and Australia. She doesn't even know them all. I'm like, I love to travel. If we had 10 paid off houses.
Vacations
Yes, Australia, Switzerland. It's beautiful.
We're from Columbia, Tennessee. New day.
Yeah.
But like,
And you got a Puckett's. It's built into the corner of the square. It's really crazy.
I
but
got
it's not a big number, and like it's one at a time, two at a time, and just knock it out. And before you know it, you're done. Like you don't have to go to work. If you want to go to work, you can go to work. You want to go buy a used car and fix it up and flip it? I did hundreds of those. It's like you don't have to do whatever. I was asking my daughter, you want to go? We've got a cousin that's Adriana's age, lives in Austria, an hour from the Swiss Alps. Hey, do you want to go sometime skiing with your cousin in the Swiss Alps? I was like, maybe. I'd love to do it.
Yeah. I've never skied before.
What?
I've done it
I've never
twice,
skied.
3 times.
I'm a little bit terrified, honestly, because I'm not overly coordinated.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah.
I'm scared of stuff like that.
Sonny Bono died doing that. You know what I mean? I mean, come
Don't
on,
go
man.
out like that with the little kitty thing.
Anyway,
Fine.
Yeah, being all
Yeah, man.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna open the floor. If you have some questions about whatever, as far as real estate investing, if you financing, budgeting, particular circumstance that you find yourself in, whatever, the floor is yours.
I'll start with one. So you talked about earlier, get out of your head. So that's, I would say, where I'm at today. I've got 4 rentals, bought way back when it was good, and they're sitting pretty today. Now the question is, how do you, knowing what I paid then, how do you buy something now, looking at that price, going, There's no blanket way I'm gonna pay that.
Right. But look, I was buying houses in Lake Forest for $99,000.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no,
No,
no.
I
Lake
wish I had
Forest
spent $1 million over
was
there.
a freaking gold mine. I used to knock doors to buy houses. So you gotta, it took me about 10 years to get through that because, there's that point where somebody goes, I'm not making fun of Lake Forest. I've lived in it before. And then he sold the house one weekend when we were out of town and I didn't have anywhere to go. Anyway, I didn't think he was that good. He's good. He's actually pretty good. But anyway, you can edit that out, can't you? No, you have to constantly, the way it worked for me is I was constantly looking, and I also buy in multiple areas. So 400,000 here is a starter. In Manchester, 250 that's a home run. 300 is a starter. In Foley, Alabama, 125 isn't half bad. I mean, or Foley. I don't know. Foley.
You're not from there.
No, I'm
It's
not.
pretty obvious.
That's why I went to Jackson.
Had one there.
You just
Because
moved out. You just moved further out, basically.
no, it's easy to pronounce. That's
So, but my question on that is, if you're doing a buy and hold, if you're doing a long-term rental on that, how do you manage properties in other areas? And I think I know
that's
the
a home
answer.
run. So that is actually, to me, it would be a home run because it forces you to use a management company. It forces you to learn how to, this is getting out of your own head. It forces you to learn how to interview managers and figure out how to give them the reins. Now, that doesn't mean they just do everything. You also have to then call them up, like I would quarterly call them up and just complain about something. Why? Because then all of a sudden you're back on the front of their mind again.
Yeah.
So they want that lovely 8 to 10% you're going to pay. Is that what everybody pays nowadays?
I don't think we're allowed to say that anyways. But it's okay.
Can you edit any of this? Can we put this on?
It's live, dude.
Oh man, this is killing me. But I would.
We're in no way authorizing collusion or anything.
No.
Yeah.
There's one guy that I know, he does stuff like, there's most of them you're gonna find are gonna be local. There's one guy, he does it from Memphis to Bristol. Management. He does
That sounds miserable.
600 to 800 houses that he's under. He's got it down.
Well, a lot of these guys get a system down.
Yeah.
And once it's ironed out, it's not that big a deal. It's just
Like,
like buying anywhere. Once you get a system down, you can plug it wherever you go.
Abernathy does that with his. He's got the PMI here, right?
Mhm.
And then he owns the one in Alabama. He's got one in Memphis. I think there's a fourth one that he's got. He just does the same thing over and over again.
But he doesn't manage it all out of one office.
Correct. He's got other
Yeah.
people boots on the ground. But the other guy, he's got his boots. He's got boots. There's like out East Tennessee, West Tennessee, where the counties get 4,000 to 10,000 people. He'll go there if you have enough that's worth his time. If you're gonna buy one in, here you go, Fanger, Tennessee, outside of Jackson, he's probably not going to do that. But if you've got 5, 6 in that area, then yeah, he's going to do it.
Cool. Next question. Yeah.
Is there a recommended size for cushion versus like if you're doing a rental versus flip, might have to sit on while it's sell? Is there a recommended cushion size?
What do you mean cushion? You mean percentage?
Put cash in a hole for a person or moving on that property in case you get stuck with it in the law or you might tenant.
So we probably do things a little different. I get private money, so I find people and I pay them whatever interest or percentage of profits or whatever, so that holding costs don't affect me as much. If I don't always go into a house with cash either, so if it's $100,000 cash, I'm typically not buying that type of house. I'm taking over that mortgage, so my outlay is always a lot less, and my holding costs are typically less. And if I was getting started, I would probably jump in and find private money, which means like individuals. People that have $150,000, $200,000 house or $150,000, $200,000 that have it sitting in a money market somewhere that are willing to lend it out. You just don't know you know them. And if not, let me into your group of friends. I'll find them and I'll use the money. And then I'll get it back to you at a little bit higher interest rate. But no, but you need to find people. If it were me and I was starting over, I would find people that would partner up with me, and that way, when it comes to the cushion. So think of it this way: if you're buying we use easy numbers, 100,000. Okay, multiply it how you want. But if you're buying a $100,000 house, right, and this guy has it in a money market at 4% right now, whatever it is, and he's willing to take 8% return, right? So 8%, $100,000, $8,000 for the year. And if you're leasing it out at $1,500, you might know that, 1512, what is that, 1450 or something, 14 and a half, whatever it is, you could make 6,000 off of it using his money. He gets a higher rate of return, and I mean, there are taxes, there's a lot of other stuff involved, but that way you don't have it's also easier on your mind, your brain. It's a lot easier to do your first deal that way because you're taking that risk with somebody. Now, I'll also tell you I wouldn't do a lot of those because like partnerships are sinking ships. So I probably wouldn't do a ton of those, but I would also probably if I have a day job, keep my day job until I can't afford to keep my day job.
2 years. You need to do it for at least 2 years
Oh,
because you have to have 2 years tax returns to be able to become bankable to a bank or a mortgage company.
I'm unbankable.
So the other thing, the other issue on rentals is if it's not cash flowing at least $350 a month, you are screwed. Sorry.
This 1% rule, there ain't no way on this earth I would do that.
At least $350 because a hot water heater is going to cost you $1,000. That's 3 months worth of profit gone. An HVAC unit is going to cost you at least $5,000 to $6,000. If you're not getting $350 a month, you get anything less than that, 2 years worth of your profit is gone. A roof, down payment on a roof with $1,500, $2,000 with an insurance company, your entire year is gone. You've got to get at least $350.
You got to cushion it.
Yeah, you have to. And I would always recommend people. And I was a lender also. You need 1 year's worth of reserves on each house that you got because stuff happens. The other word happens too, but stuff happens. And,
But also as you build that reserve, so this is just me, I wouldn't have it on every house. There's a point where,
yes,
if you have 10% covered for 6 months, you've got ample funds. If you have, these are not hard numbers either. It all depends on the market, the properties you're buying. Are you buying A class, B class, C class? What are you buying? Because
you can buy $12,000 houses in Memphis all day, every day.
Oh yeah, I can find them for you. They're easy.
If you want them,
I wouldn't probably get into it.
I think it's St. Louis and Indianapolis, but
yeah, they're there.
Gotcha. Have a management company on that.
Oh yeah.
All right, next question. Yes, sir. Paper, rock, scissors.
Oh, fun. Oh, they rock. Cool. Do it again.
All right. Emerson.
Question when you're thinking about the team you put together. I know you said you make a deal. Are these attorneys or are you doing homes? I know you said you have a background on family members, so I know a lot of stuff that you keep this down by doing legal or whatever else. How do you go about putting these deals together to get that money from these private lenders? Are you know?
So the way I've gotten the most of my money is you'll know when I need money or when I have something coming up, because if you look on my Facebook page, I do nothing. And the only time I do it is if I'm bragging about like my kids or like pretty much wraps it up. And if I need money, you'll know because you'll see a post on Facebook, like I got one that may be coming up sooner than later, that says, hey, we just had a private money lender that I had to write a check for $9,148. If you're interested in making money in real estate, don't want to get your hands dirty, let me know. That's it.
So Are you writing this up in the contract, or how are you doing that?
So I do mine, it depends on who the lender is. So, oh boy. So I get money from a lot of different sources. I get private money, like somebody has it in the bank. I also get IRA type funds. It has to be secured different. I also get people that will just lend me money, and I'll pay a flat percentage for it because I may have 2 or 3 deals coming up at a time.
But you're putting it on papers.
They are all secured on paper. Oh, absolutely.
Lawyer, or you doing this?
Oh no, I got an attorney that takes care of all that. I'm not you. Now I have closed. This isn't a good idea, but I've closed many a house at the kitchen table. I don't suggest any of you do that for 10 years. Now, when you start doing it, give me a call. It's really cool. But just because it's something that needs to get done really fast, like
your person.
like a Thursday thing, and they're going to call Tuesday afternoon when realism chimes in, and they're going to call and go, hey, could we do this and this? And if he's smart, he works at a title place. He's got this covered. But you would go on and do kind of a prelim search, or I would pay somebody to do a prelim search, and that way they could just deed me over the property.
Make sure
I don't
it's
say
the
you
LDD
do.
and all that kind of
Yes, yes. You want all the, don't do that right now. But later you can.
I would also network with the people that are doing what you want to do, find them
Mm-hmm.
and ask questions. There is no, the saying, there is no stupid question. Most people are always if you work for State Farm, I know nothing about insurance, so I would be completely ignorant to your knowledge. You would be ignorant to my knowledge because I spent years perfecting what I do. You've spent years perfecting what you do. And so most people, as long as they're not an absolute egomaniac, are more than willing to love to talk about themselves and tell you exactly what they're doing if you'll just listen and be humble enough to listen. And
Most people so this is just me, but most of the people I ask for help have done it long enough, or look, I got a couple friends I've only done it for 3 or 4 years, but every deal is different. Every last one is different. Every one is different. And I just had one we finally got closed. This wasn't him, it was somebody else. But and if you're watching, hey, not bad. Got to turn that thing off. But everything that came up at closing, we had to have letters and inspections and for everything. I have never had this come up, but every deal is different. So you need to have a network of people, from attorneys, insurance people. I mean, they're very helpful. They're the ones you hate to pay, but I'm glad you're here today.
Well, we write the big checks.
Yeah, but not enough. So, no. But it's good to have that network of people. It's kind of like I tell my daughter if she's going to college, the first thing I would do to college is go shake hands and meet people. Because these are the people that are going to help you get your first job. They're the ones that, I have different attorneys for different things. So if I'm doing an eviction, I call a different attorney. If I'm doing a closing, I actually just call a closing person. But you need that network. And most of these people will help. You can ask them. They'll give you help.
That's true. All right. The paper, rock, scissors loser back there.
Yes.
My question is, we have one rental house, one Airbnb, I'm an administrator now, I'm very busy. Haven't found a deal since we bought the rental house in 20. Who is a person that you should go to, I don't know, if it's a wholesaler or something like y'all, that can do that groundwork to find that house, and then, we're talking about 30% down.
here in this county, I don't think you're going to find it. Sorry, to be honest.
You'll find them. They just ain't cheap as they used to be.
You're going to have to go his route. You're going to have to. You're going to have to do sub 2 because interest rates, their cash flow is your lifeblood. And you're going to have to pay a little bit more and find someone that's got, for whatever reason, doesn't want this house anymore, for whatever reason, 2%, 3%, 4%. You're going to put a little bit more down to basically buy them out because I've walked away from a few deals that I thought I was gonna buy some rental property. I couldn't make it cash, and I couldn't make the numbers work. If I can't make the numbers work, I'm not gonna buy it. My wife wants me to have rental properties. We want to have rental properties, but I am unwilling to put the majority of my cash into one deal because the issue with refinancing out on that thing, unless it appreciates, which I never anticipate, that money is stuck for the next 30 years. It's stuck. And you might look someplace else or sub two. I've tried it. It has not succeeded with me. You're taking over someone else's loan. So let's say John Smith passes away. Mary Smith, that was married to John, had a 3% interest rate. She's got 4 kids. They're all young. She doesn't know what to do with the house. She's done. She's moving back home with mom and dad to get help. If they don't listen with the J. Harmon team, this guy can come in and say, I will give you X amount of money because I want your interest rate, because I can put someone in it and lease it to them for them to buy it or keep it as a rental property. Does that make sense? So that, to me, that's the only way of finding stuff right now. I have tried it for 3 or 4 years, and I've tried 2 or 3. I thought they were going to stick, and it didn't happen. He's much better at it than I am.
I would maybe contact a wholesaler because right now a lot of them are starving. That they need some kind of deals. It's because the market's shifted, and wholesaling depends on how good you are at it. You can get kind of pinched in it. So I would befriend a few wholesalers. I'll tell you this: I haven't bought anything in Middle Tennessee in a lot of years. I've bought in everything surrounding, like, Cannon, Coffee, Bedford. I bought in those counties. And if I was looking for a rental, I would probably look out that way as well.
Rents out there for 1,000 years were $400 or $500.
They're moving.
West Tennessee is no longer $400 or $500. Everything's about $1,000 a month. It stinks. Republican, Democrat, whatever you want to believe financially,
Don't matter.
it doesn't matter. That's what it is right now. That's correct.
Tell them to call me. We'll sell the house out in Bedford.
That's what I've been wondering also, like how these guys are going to afford it, because I've got a good friend that's on the, Ryan Kellum. He does some of my flips, but he also works for the fire department. Like, I don't know how these guys, I don't know what the answer is. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, all this influx of Biden and Trump flushing the money in with the economy, and then all the people from California.
Imported money.
Yeah. Like, it's not fair, but I don't know.
I mean, is it, you know?
Anything fair?
Who cares if it's $5 trillion?
Just figure out how
Yeah,
they work.
sure.
Yeah. So I guess the advice there is probably not in Rutherford County.
Look south. Go,
I'm motivated to stay in Murfreesboro. Looking for a long term would be, we've got 2 teenage boys from college, high school, was going to graduate, and wanting to find a place to come to stay with their
Have y'all realized this? I travel quite a bit. I'm not trying to brag. But Nashville, for the most part, like if you go Cincinnati, Atlanta, Memphis, Knoxville, St. Louis, doesn't really matter. Anywhere within like 3 or 4, 5 hour drive of Nashville, they all have apartments, cheaper, affordable housing than Nashville does. Like duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, small. Like I don't understand. Like Nashville, do we bulldoze it when I wasn't paying attention? It just doesn't exist in this market, and I have no idea why.
That's why all the people that are looking for affordable housing have moved to the outside
Correct.
counties. All of them have. Like,
And you said something else. So your motivation is a little bit different as well, right? So if you're looking at something that you can just kind of cash flow and it helps your family in the long term. So you still obviously want to stick to as much as you can. It's still an investment, right? But there's a cost savings associated with that as well, because you're not going to pay for housing for your kids while they're in school. So there's a little bit of to me, that's a little bit different.
so why do you want to do that? Why do you want to buy a property for your kids to stay in? I know that sounds dumb, but what's your end goal with it?
Okay, so let's say they go to college and they get married, one, and they get maybe move into that house, but if they move 2 counties away, and start a family, you know, like an hour drive away.
Okay, so you're wanting to keep your family closer, basically, to have the option to keep them closer. Okay, so it comes down to how much you willing to pay for that option.
Right.
So I want the same thing. I want my kids to be pretty close to me because I'm just selfish like that. But I know that there's a cost involved to that. And so I know that over the next few years, I've got to raise my income to buy what I want so that I can give my kids the option to build houses near me. So there's no great answer for that, unfortunately, just because there are some not so great houses you can still buy in Murfreesboro cheaper, but you're going to have to probably, the cost savings you'll use sweat equity to fix it. If it's a $40,000, $50,000 rehab, it may only cost you $20,000, $30,000, but you're going to put your own time and effort. So it kind of is everything's a balance. Where's your time worth more? That's what it comes down to.
I keep thinking that it can't keep going up. It shouldn't keep going
And the
up.
market says, hold my beer.
Yeah.
The market
Hold
says,
my
shut
beer.
up, Nick, watch this.
I
Just keep doing it. I don't know.
And the balance side of that is we've seen a little bit of a dip in the last several months. The market as a whole, Rutherford County, let's go that route with it. We're about 8 to 9% down from October or so.
50% off.
That's the thing, right? It's 8 to 9% from 31%, 31%, 24%.
That's still a top 10. Still a top 10 market all time.
Yes.
That's the issue. Like, I love posting jokes on Facebook. We're full. Go to Alabama. Go to Kentucky.
Don't go to Alabama.
Go
It's still
anywhere. But here, they still keep coming. Like, my family's about to build 1,300 apartments. They're actually in the process of doing it, so they're not going to stop for the next 2 years to finish that big thing. Smart.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
John, I'm circling back to Brian in the sub two. How do you find that the mortgage companies that the person that you're buying it from, that mortgage company, are they excited about you coming in to buy this?
Okay,
And take it over?
this is real easy. You ready? So when you go into a bank, they usually have like real pretty furniture, and they like redid it a few years ago. It's like all snazzy colors and all that, and they got cool like light fixtures and all that stuff that's a little better than what we got in our own house kind of thing. They didn't get that way by foreclosing a mortgage. They got that way by we've gone over this once or twice. They borrow money at 1% and loan it at 3%. That's a 300% return. That's not 2%, that is 300%. So, if you do that with enough money, they don't care. Like, I have not had anything called effort. In fact, I have gone to banks and told them what I do. And they're like, okay, does that mean the check will show up? Yes. And they don't understand why I'm talking to them. Now there's disclaimers to that.
I was going to say, so how do they, I hear you, but the way I understand it, right, and so please tell me why I'm wrong, is that if I don't own the house any longer, the lien still is attached to the house, right? So the note is still on the house, right? But do they not have the right to call that due?
It's called a due on sale clause. They have every right.
Part alienation clause.
Yeah, they have every right. But if you've ever been through a divorce or you've ever had a death in the family or any of that, like the deed. So if there's a divorce and there's two people on it, and then one goes away and the other's still
But
on.
the note doesn't change. That's
Right,
why,
right. The
that's
note
why
doesn't
divorce
change.
decrees require refinance.
They're supposed to, yes.
Supposed to.
Should be built into your divorce decree that you require a refinance. Yes.
Depends on how early you catch them. So divorce is a big churner for me. So there's also that thing. So if mom dies and the two kids become heirs, and one of the kids move into the house and keep paying,
They don't care.
they don't care. So it happens all the time in different forms. But when it happens, so originally this came from if I'm not mistaken, that. I finally got a disclaimer out there, right? You like that? So if I'm not mistaken, this originally came from the commercial industry. I know it did. And the reason is, you would sell an entire entity to somebody else if it had like a mobile home park in it. And the loan just would travel along with the entity. So it would it's been done for many, many, many years.
But how do the person that sold it to you, subject to, the note stays in their name, how do they buy another house?
So a lot depends. A lot of the time, a lot depends on the situation. If this is where I actually asked one of the mortgage people last time they were here, they'll give sometimes a 70% credit. So it depends on how long the note's been made, how long it's been paid. They'll give a percentage of credit. So if your payment is $1,000, they'll give X percent. So let's hypothetically say, I'm learning how to do that right by saying hypothetical. Let's hypothetically say they'll give 70% credit. So on their DTI, debt to income ratio, there's only $300 that counts against them. Or, a lot depends on how the credit looks. I have a lot of people that don't ever want to go back to buying a house. So it's not even an issue. Or they have a divorce issue, and when that happens, a lot of stuff gets blown up anyway, and it takes them a while to build up to credit. But in the meanwhile, I'm making the payment, so their credit's doing fine on this side.
But you become a third, are you listed on the deed, I would call it, as a third owner?
No, the deed's just straight over to my business.
If you don't take over if the note doesn't, or the loan doesn't change, you're not in second position anymore. Where bank is in first, you're in second.
No, think about this. So the deed says who owns the property, correct? What does the mortgage say?
Mortgage will say
Who owes money?
whoever
Who
borrowed the
owes money on it,
money,
right?
whoever borrowed the money first.
Two separate things.
Right.
I'm not borrowing money on it. The deed is coming to me.
But
The
you don't own
mortgage
it
is-
free and clear because there's a
Right,
encumbrance.
there's
on
an
it.
encumbrance on it, for sure.
So,
Yes.
I like it, but I gotta think about it.
Don't go do that straight out of the gate. There's a few moving parts to it.
Interesting. Other questions?
Sorry.
I wasn't trying to crap on your idea, it's just, I'm trying to do the same thing, and it just.
It's a rough area.
Yeah,
right
Woodbury, Bedford County, DeKalb County, even then, sometimes it makes sense.
All right. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for sharing your information. These guys will be available for a few minutes after we wrap up here for any other questions. Trent, did we have any questions on the feed at all? No? Okay. So we
I
got,
do have one comment that's pretty funny.
okay.
Too much math in this video.
Too much math in this video. It says.
Last time I asked him if I could bring a dry erase board to write stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if you're interested, if you have further questions and you don't want to say them out right now, these guys will be able to talk with you. And I know they all can be bought from meal. So
Yeah.
if
Toots on
What?
Wednesdays has like chicken fingers on sale. So,
all right, that's about it. Thank you again for being here. Thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate y'all very much. Thanks for watching.